Hello everyone, welcome back to Stractify, where we cover concepts and techniques as they relate to drawing and composition, and we are full swing into our perspective drawing series, and we are focusing on 3-point perspective. And so far we're in stage 1, where we have our third vanishing point. We have 3 vanishing points. 3-point perspective is governed by 3 vanishing points. 2 vanishing points on the horizon line, and 1 third vanishing point, which can be up at the top of the page over the vanishing point. And in stage 1, that's what we're focusing on. And in stage 2, we're going to focus on the vanishing point being below the horizon line at the bottom of the page. So we're still on stage 1. We've drawn our first box below the line according to this diagram I talked about. So basically, this box below the horizon line, this is what it looks like in 3-point perspective. So in this video, we're going to move on to the second box, which will be this box that straddles the horizon line. All right, so before we jump right in, I talked about paper supplies and whatnot, where to get some of your papers. And even though this might look kind of janky on camera because I've been working on it, here's an example of a ream of 8.5 by 11 paper that you can get. Basically printer paper, multi-purpose paper. If you want to get a better quality paper, you can pay a little bit more. These usually run from $4 to $5 to more. And I've got like the 750 count, whatever brightness you want. Some of them are kind of brown, 20-pound weight. And I love getting these because these last you a long time. And you can get a lot for using these. All right. Okay, so we're going to jump right in. If there's anything I forgot to mention that I need to mention, hopefully I can remember it in the process and mention it in this video. Okay, so I'm going to jump right in. All right, just making sure my camera is not blurring on me. All right, let me get my pencil. My pen I don't need yet, so I'll set that aside. My short ruler. And okay, so let's remember 3-point perspective, 2 vanishing points. Vanishing point 1, vanishing point 2, or A or B, however you want to label it, and then the third vanishing point. Let's remember that we want to keep the third vanishing point as high as possible. As you guys get further along with your skills in perspective drawing, you're going to find yourself taping down a big sheet of paper on a big board and then putting a small sheet, 8.5 by 11 sheet, or a small sheet down like this, and then taking your points and your vanishing points off the page and your third vanishing point like way off the page, just so that you can get the desired result in your drawing. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later as to why you'd want to do that, the benefits of that, and let's jump right in. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to lay down a base. Our first base was A, B, C, D. So we're going to go E, F, G, H for our second base, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the base of our box somewhere over here. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do, okay? So my short ruler is long enough to get there. So what you do every time, you start with 2 radiating lines from each point to establish your base. And you don't always have to start with the base. You can also start with the top. I just prefer to start with the base because I just like I just like to make sure my stuff is grounded on the ground plane, and that's just my preference. Okay, some of you might find that you like to okay, that's getting kind of weird. All right, so Some of you might find that you like to start from the top, and that's perfectly fine. So as you go along doing this, the more used to it you'll get. The more used to it you get, the more you'll find your personal preference as to how to approach perspective drawing. Okay, so immediately you can start to see that lines are beginning to get confused. So you really have to pay attention as to what's what, and where things are. Make sure you make note of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark those points. And I'm going to label them starting with E, F, G, and H. So we'll start with E here. E, F, G, I'll put G here, and H here. Okay? So the labeling is important to help you keep track of where your lines and your points and your corners are placed. All right? So as soon as you've got your corners, what I'm going to go ahead and do is darken. I'm going to go ahead and darken this base so that those of you watching, the viewers, can see where the second box is. You don't get confused in any way, shape, or form. Okay. All right. So with that established, I'm going to get my long ruler, which has its nice long edges, and connect each point to each corner to the vanishing point as accurately as possible. You want to just hit that perfectly. And as I do that, I'm going to go ahead and label each line. So this is G, so this will be line G. This is F. Connect it. That'll be line F. This will be E. Ooh, that's awfully close. You really want to avoid stuff like this. All right, so this is a learning moment right here when it comes to positioning your objects and your, you don't want corners to run together like that, but we're going to go ahead and do it and we'll see what happens. So it sort of runs together. So what I will do is make sure that, because we've got G marked, connect the line there, pull it out, and we're going to make sure I know that that's E, because already that will easily confuse anyone. Any novice will get very confused and frustrated by that. All right, and then I'll pull this over here, and that will be H. All right, so this is a box straddling the horizontal line. So the bottom of the box is below the horizon line, and then the top of the box is going to be above the horizon line. So I am going to just go ahead and pick this spot as the height of the box, and I'm just going to go ahead and label it F1. And because F and G and E are connected, we've got F1 and E1 will be somewhere along this line, and we're going to want to use vanishing point 1 for that. And what you want to do is just radiate your line all the way through, and as it intersects, just mark that point. One thing not to do, which I just did, was don't make big smushy dots like that. Okay, you want your dots to be a nice pinpoint, not a big splotch like that. That's not good. So that's not good practice. Don't do that. All right, so we've got E1. That's taken care of, so it's not going to give us too many problems. And then, so from E to H, you want E to H. So you've got line E, you've got corner or point E, E1. You want to connect it to, you want to have it run through line H so that you can get point H1. Of course, you want to run that line right through there. follow it, and then where it intersects, you get H1. All right, and you can also see, and you're probably noticing certain things, like you've got HH and then H1 is here. You know, you've got E1 here, but E is down here. So you can see how things get very confusing. That's why this labeling, you've really got to keep track and pay attention to how you're labeling things. Okay, so with that in place, from H1 to, we're going to G, right? H to G, H to line G. So we're going to see where that falls. It'll be interesting to see. There we go. And it's at that point. So that's G1. So G, line G, G point G1 or corner G1 helps to make that corner. And then G1 is going to connect to F1. Again, we can draw it in, but because we want to be accurate, we want to make sure that, you know, we're doing things correctly. We want to see where we might be off or where we might be right on point. Okay, let me bring this down here so I can see it. I'm trying not to hit the camera with my head. And I'm a little bit off, guys. I'm a little bit off, so I'm going to draw that line through to show you, let you guys see it. See where I made a boo? I'm way off on that one. See right there? So some connection here was completely off. Okay, so I'm going to just leave that there for you guys to see. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and darken the outline. Because those lines run so closely together, it's very easy in the process to get these two confused and end up with a weird looking shape if you picked incorrectly. So let me go ahead and finish this. Where am I here? Right here. All right, so the labeling is really important and it takes a lot of the guesswork out. Remember, this is all construction. So once everything is in place, depending on how you want the final work to look, you can go back and clean everything up. You can erase all the markings and the construction lines and whatnot, or leave everything in there. For the most part, I like to leave the construction lines in. I'll probably go in there and if I'm, say, painting it or coloring it or doing something else to it, I'll probably go in there and just all the labels, just get rid of all the labels once I'm done with everything. All right, so that is, make sure you guys can see everything. Okay, that's good. Put this here. I'll put this. Let me put this. Well, oh Lord. Okay, whatever. So that's what we're dealing with here. Okay, and despite the way this looks, it looks like a rhombus or something like that. In reality, it's still a box with the sides parallel to each other. The position of this third vanishing point is dictating that these sides that are supposed to be parallel to each other, or it dictates that it slants in this way. Okay, it puts it at that angle, makes it look kind of weird. It's just a function of the third vanishing point, and that's what you're always going to get. All right. Okay, let me see if there's anything else I need to point out before I wrap this up. And because we just had the one box to do, this is a shorter video. Let me go ahead and show the hidden edges, dot them out, use dotted lines to highlight the hidden edges so that you can see. Went too far there, didn't I? So that you can see very clearly what's happening. Like that. If you hear any noise on camera, oh yeah. So I'm gonna dot it and let the mistake that I made earlier, I'm gonna let that show what happens when you're off in any way, because what should happen is I should be able to connect from here straight to that point, but because I'm off somewhere, it's throwing this off, and this is where I'm ending up. So you want to be careful every step of the way that you hit those dots, those points correctly, and you hit those vanishing points correctly. Okay, you want to hit the same place every time. All right, so that is our second box, three-point perspective box. I'm going to leave it right there. This is Stractify, the visual arts website where we cover, where we explore concepts and techniques with drawing and composition. And I will see you guys in the next video where we deal with the box, with placing the box somewhere up here, okay, and above the horizon line. All right, later.